Hello everyone, and welcome back to Gooey's Dungeon Dive. I'm Gooey, here with Corey. How's it going, Corey?
Howdy, howdy. Going good.
And we're here in Minish Cap. We're at Malari's Mine.
I love Malari.
They've got our Picori, our second Picori Elder, I guess. We're sent to meet. He's fixing up our Picori blade. As we're here at the top of Mount Krenel, we made the treacherous journey up here.
A daunting trek.
And we're gonna get this future warp point before we go into the dungeon. But
hey, we don't know what it is yet. Neither does this.
Spoilers. Yeah, it's a stone marker. Who knows? But
it still rattles me.
We got our map here. We're up here, looking for that pizza element as we make our way into the Cave of Flames. And we're getting some, it's hot in here.
Wow, it's hot in here. Affectionately referred to as the Cave of Flamos.
The Cave of Flamos, for those in the know. Here we go. I like to, if I can remember, to show off, like, ooh, here's an area you can't go.
That looks like something you might be able to push, but it's just a little sneak peek.
Got some pots. But here we are. It's looking kind of, like your typical mine. It looks like a mine, right?
Yeah.
Indoor rocky walls here. It looks like this is a very classic dungeon feel.
Yeah.
You like the music in here? I like these bomb creatures.
Yeah, these little bomb guys are cool.
Ow! Ow! Ow!
Fun little addition.
Well, they're nice because they can actually, if you play your cards right, you can accidentally bump them into the wall here, which is suspiciously. Ooh.
Yeah,
wow.
that was part of the ascent coming up here. You just got the bomb bag, right?
Yes, and there was a lot of. You actually get that right after the last dungeon. Oh, I like this. Here we get a little. Okay.
Flip them over.
I think that was, back in the day, we would get a stone beak hint about something like this.
Yeah.
I gotta miss the old stone beak, but...
That is cool. I'm glad that he doesn't say explicitly use your shield, He just says flip him over. Because that does give you a little hint of, a little foreshadowing of the item to come, too.
We get the compass here. Yeah, I think you could be like, what do? I like bomb them? Like, what do I do? But that's a classic Zelda enemy there. Oh, here's another little thing. You're like, oh, finally, rupees. And then, oh no!
Ah.
Oh, rupee-like, which this is quite a devious little enemy.
Yeah, they get me a lot.
Yeah, this one, he's close to getting me again. So then here, what, can we, yeah, see, then you can make a way back. So here we kind of see we're seeing some of the looping nature that we've been discussing in the previous dungeon, well, the last dungeon of the game. So, got a little bomb guy. Back off, dude. I like to shield them. I don't know. What do you sword them, or you know what's crucial?
I think I sword them.
Let's do this. This is where actually you could bomb the wall with them.
Whoa.
More easily.
I've never actually even done that. Never thought to guest jar them.
Which is strange because it is the last major big item you get, but I guess by this point if you've been climbing the mountain, You've
been using it a lot on mushrooms and such.
So here we've got some mine cart trails, and a little switch and a disconnected one, Yeah.
I wonder.
A little bit of that going on. So let's go over here. Okay, we've got.
Oh, you know what's interesting that you mind going back for a second?
Locked door. Yeah.
Oh, you gotta go back anyways. Something I didn't notice. Yeah. If you go up there, the track that is horizontal has a little pattern on the floor to kind of connect it to the one that's down there lower that is already in place. That's interesting.
Yes. And you kind of can see the circular thing here, like it's, it's been rubbing against the ground maybe, It's a nice little detail. Now these guys, of course.
Yeah. Classic Helmosaurs.
These are cool. They were on some of the... Oh, Eslo does have to tell you, you know, about everything, which is, I don't know, that's okay.
This must be what the humans used.
Yeah, so he's like, get on. Here we've got a locked door. So this is one dungeon a little bit more. Whoa. There we go. Sweet jump and jump. Okay, that's pretty funny.
That feels very Wind Waker, like the little comedic, like the wind is blowing you back, it's going so fast type thing.
Yeah, they definitely. It's the mine carts are interesting in these because it's a little different than how they worked in like the Oracle games where you were kind of doing things while moving in them. And this one,
you have full control still. You can hit things outside of the mine cart. These are just.
I think that's.
Barreling right through, smashing through things.
Oh, look at that.
Perfect.
We just bombed this. I don't know, it's a little, I don't know, it makes it a little, the Minecraft carts they're very fun, but they're a little less mechanically interesting because there was, you know, some more things you could do on them in the Oracles. But still a nice, you know, it's a nice fun spin on the mine carts. You know,
it feels more like a little roller coaster ride.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, he's already lost his cap here.
You know what they kind of remind me of? It kind of reminds me of those pipes that you travel through in Turtle Rock in A Link to the Past. Even though those...
Yeah.
Because both of them, it's just kind of like you get in one entrance and it just brings you all the way to the end.
Just spits you out, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of a cool fusion of them. Now we're a little guy. So we've got these little tunnels that we could not travel through before.
I like this because this is the first... obviously, the first dungeon was Deepwood Shrine where we were small the entire time.
We'll die if we fall in there.
Yeah, the pit's too big. We were small, so it made us... We played basically with the functionality of Big Link, but just in a small setting, whereas this actually incorporates shrinking down into the dungeon itself.
Yeah, you kind of traverse through a lot of these rooms you've been through, or like... have seen. There's kind of like a... So I'll say this kind of reminds me a little bit of something like Dodongo's Cavern, where it has kind of this interweaving structure of the dungeon, but like there's really not a lot of places you can go at any given time. It's sort of like creatively weaving you through the space, but you're definitely as you'll see, like, or you've already kind of seen it, like, oh, that I can either... Well, there's like a closed door, a minecart, and a key door, you know, so you kind of gotta go on the minecart. Then it weaves you to this thing that shrinks you down, and you gotta go through all those doors, you know, and there's only really one kind of path forward.
Yeah, it's pretty linear progression, but it's kind of like taking you on a ride almost. Similar to this Dodongo's Cavern.
Yeah, I will say this one from just some of the, like, I guess more platformy things you do in this, like this, for example, these stone platforms that kind of break and crumble as you go. Like here it starts off pretty basic, but it gets a little more complicated as you go throughout the dungeon. And those are like this kind of platforming stuff I actually find more fun than in Deepwood Shrine, which was still pretty fun with like the mushrooms and things like that. But yeah, I don't know, I actually find this a little bit more satisfying from like kind of a platforming type perspective, you know?
Yeah, it's got kind of that, it's like a... I think a lot of fire dungeons tend to do that, where it's just kind of a big... There are a lot of hazards, there are a lot of things you have to avoid, a lot of things you have to get around, there's usually fire on the ground you have to avoid. And it's kind of like a fun little... dangerous joyride.
Yes, these gusts here. We had some of those coming up the mountain. Those are very fun. Sort of challenge here. It's always interesting to make this kind of like flying around work in like these simple kind of 2D environments.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the previous handheld Zelda games have had that. But they always make it work. They always make it fun. Okay, so we've got a key, we've got a door that's stuck here, but of course there's switch there. And I think this is kind of the only key that it's not really that far away, but like here you could actually get kind of lost. Not necessarily lost, but you could kind of go here and like, oh, do I have to go through that whole shenanigans again? You probably wouldn't. You probably would go back.
Just go back this way. I was just thinking that though. I kind of appreciate that it's not like here's a key, use it right here at this door. You know?
Yeah, I feel like the rest of the dungeon is where it gets a little bit more simplified with the keys and stuff like that. And you know, I always like to gripe about that, so I'm just throwing that in here. But this is a cool one, you know. Okay, we've
using the tracks as a little catwalk.
This is another one where it's like, okay, then I'm gonna go right back and use this. You know, it never gets like, we never get the level, I think, of slightly more difficult minecart puzzles than, you know, some of the other games. But
some slightly reminiscent of Dancing Dragon Dungeon in that aspect, but even in that one, you kind of get right off the bat a lot more involved, like, okay, what do I need to do with the minecart to do this navigation? Whereas that was just like, follow the minecart back, hit the switch once, and then follow it to the right place.
Yeah, exactly. And here we get back to, here's this, you know, okay, when we were here before, we could go when we were little, but we couldn't go through here, and now we can go through here. So there's a little bit of that, but like, I think it makes you almost feel like you're weaving in and out and like solving the dungeon more than you really are. You know?
Yep.
Oh, here we've got a conspicuous wall.
There's definitely something to be said about that. Like a nice streamlined progression. As long as the things that you're doing along the way are fun. I think this is a good example of where a layout like that might work. Because a lot of what you're doing is a lot of those fun, you know, floating over lava or falling platforms, more platformy type things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that works
with
a layout like this.
I always advocate for a... Uh-oh. Oh, what's
These fellas are dangerous.
How do you beat them? You suck them up?
We gotta figure it out there.
Well, we're gonna bomb them. Blow up.
Yeah, they're dangerous.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, ooh, that worked pretty well. Come here.
I think this is already a pretty big step up in difficulty compared to like Deepwood Shrine, where your first little mini boss thing like that is like 3 of those little ladybugs, and now you get like a circle of 10 metal choo-choos.
Is that the best way to beat them? Just bombing them?
I think so.
That would stink if you didn't have bombs. Is there a contingency plan in that? I feel like this is where the games start to get a little bit... Okay, so now the cane, it's going to change up our gameplay a little bit here, as we can flip things with it.
Cane of Pachi, or Paki.
Yeah, this is the one where I'm like, I'll always advocate. You'll never know what'll happen. Okay, that's fine if he's going to tell me that. But with this locked door, we'll see. You do kind of just spit out by it again. And we got a nice warp here. And, you know, that's okay to some extent. But I always advocate for, like the first key. Like, maybe make it just like a, you know, 1 room over or something. You know, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too much of a stickler for that, but I always feel a little like, really? You just dropped me off right here, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. At least you do have to go up 1 room.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, it's kind of the same.
But like,
most
okay,
people
I got
would
it.
never forget that, like, oh, I just saw that, so... And I've already been down there.
Yeah. I guess true, there's like a lot of ways you can still go, you know? I don't know, I'm not trying to be a grump about it, but it does move it a little bit for me, like it does sometimes prevent things from.
Yeah.
But who knows? Watch, I'll get lost in this dungeon.
A lot of dungeons like this, or just dungeons in newer games in general, tend to do that, where it presents you with something, but it doesn't want you to forget for too long, you know?
And it kind of doesn't want you to stray from the path of like the gameplay.
This is fun,
elements.
dodging those spiky guys.
That's
traps,
cool.
That's what they're called.
This reminds me a little bit of like some of the more, because there were really fun like of the like linear Oracle dungeons that were more thrill rides. Like this kind of this captures that really well. You know,
Skull Dungeon is one that comes to mind.
Now these guys come after you.
Yeah, that's fun dungeon. Too. You sneak through as a little fella, and then you turn big, and they're all after you.
And here we go. It also gives me some of the hints of like that vibes of that more like Indiana Jones one.
Yeah, yep.
Why'd I go small? I just kind of instinctually went small.
Yeah. See, this is interesting because it's like you were presented with this and the ability to flip the switch earlier, but you had to find the minecart. But it's only one ride over, so I think that's a really fun idea. Like, oh, you got to get the minecart to this spot, go find it. But it's not. It's like one room over, one ride away.
That guy shouldn't go in that hole. I was kind of just like, that's a puzzle you could mess up. Do you have to reset the room? Okay. Yeah, I feel like they could do more. They could do a little bit more. Like, it doesn't need to be like water temple level complicated, but I feel like minecarts. They're well. We were just talking before this about I don't want to spoil anything, but some minecart stuff in a newer Zelda game. And oh crap! Come back. Are we just?
You can just go across.
Oh,
like,
pop
yeah, to the right.
Duh.
Yeah.
Duh. Okay. I was like, am I gonna reset the room again? This is a fun puzzle too.
Yeah, that's neat.
That's another reason they keep it relatively linear, like we saw in Wind Waker. Is they kind of have these building puzzles, you know, that they're kind of trying to show you in a certain order. But yeah, I don't know. I think minecarts. You can get this is kind of the introduction to minecarts, but they don't really come. It's not like in the oracles where like come back in a later dungeon, you know. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you don't get it from here. You gotta.
Do they come back? Do they return at all? Are there any in like Palace in the Sky or whatever?
Do they? Yeah, I don't remember.
Palace of Winds, Palace in the Sky. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, if they do, it's certainly not a very like
not complex. Like, it's not like a big.
It's not complex. It's not as like a. It doesn't feel like a step up or anything.
Yeah, it's not a big evolution of the idea or anything.
Maybe I'll be eating my words. And this, we're kind of. I mean, we're close to the end, and this is kind of the final big gimmick, like puzzle of the area. Oh, yep. And I hate when I mess this up. I will likely mess some of this up. And
this is even more so like the most in the dungeon, I would say. Like a lot of just treacherous platforming, traps, danger around type thing.
Yeah, this is okay. I think we're safe if I fall in now. Oh crap.
Get out of your pot.
This one is a lot of fun. This is a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah, the timing is not been going good. No, it's okay. You're pretty
so scary.
safe. Am I freaking out? Yeah, I feel like I my timing wasn't great, but I got through it, so we're okay.
Yeah, that worked.
Here's a little bit of where do you go type thing, because you can.
True.
What's this do?
Yeah,
we already saw we saw the boss door, which is pretty fun. I like that, like the early.
Yeah.
Well, it's not early. We're towards the end of the dungeon, but like we're like. I don't know,
gone by quick.
Oh, you know what? That's an extra kinstone. That's a yeah. I think actually I ended up loading this on one where I did get everything in the first dungeon, but I don't quite remember. But this dungeon, I think it's a kinstone. I'm not going back for it. This dungeon, they all have that, you know, that Wind Waker element of just lots of goodies to find.
Yeah, extra one little side path that brings you to some goodie, some hidden treasure.
And if you get really into collecting those kinstones,
I do love me some kinstones.
You know what? I've only done the one required fusion this time, but I had a lot of fun with it compared to other times. I don't know what that is. Sometimes just you're, well, because you know what, I've said in previous ones that I never really felt the desire or need when they reveal it to like go find it, and I would just come across them. But I was like,
oh, okay, yeah.
I was like, this time I was like, what if I just actually go like find it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I did, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
That's neat.
You know, I got a heart container, I think it is. So, and there's that big key again.
Yeah, that non-red eye big key. Ugh.
That weird big key. Ugh. And we've got our. That's another thing is we didn't get the red, or we got the red warp, but not the blue warp in the first one.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I think that's probably you know, partially why we didn't get everything maybe, but. Oh, and then we've got the final. Here, let's see if we can get a heart. Okay. So this, we got our next boss. They don't show the names, do they?
No.
This is kind of cool. Whoa. Yeah, they're trying to bring the spectacle. This is Gleerock?
Gleerock.
So not
Very
exactly
scary.
a Gleeok, but here we've
Gleeok-esque.
I already know how to kind of beat this thing, so
yeah.
You know,
This is neat. I think this is
a
a very creative boss fight, though.
This fight is really fun.
Yeah.
And I definitely like it better than Deepwood Shrine. Like just because it feels a little bit more. Yeah, I mean the green choo choo is just it's cute, it's fun, but this isn't necessarily. You can say this about a lot of Zelda bosses, but it's not that hard. But it's really exciting. You know, you gotta keep dodging the. You know, I'll take some damage here. I'm sure this one I actually could see giving people a hard time, especially here when the lava comes out. But
if you don't have I mean, you only have 5 hearts. But a beginner playing this, like especially right here, if Gleerock does the blowing fire, then you could have fire spots on the ground. You could have rocks falling from the ceiling, and then like the lava making the walkable space a lot tighter. It can get pretty dangerous. It just feels like there's a lot more going on in this fight.
Did I get him?
Don't think so.
Oh. I guess it would probably go. Yeah, here you go. So here we've dropped a lot of fire, but luckily you clear it with your sword and it gives you. Here, let me show one thing that can happen is you hit it. Oh no. You can hit it and you go like running. Is it when he hits you?
Is it the lava?
Oh, there you go. That did it. See, and that can get you in a bad situation when you're then running into all that fire like up there, you know. But this is a fairly good run at him. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, blow up, mad. Dummy.
Why do they all blow up? Why do they all have TNT inside their bodies?
You know, that's all the magma. All the lava.
Now it just hardens right away. That's nice. It's convenient.
We got the element. Look at that. I forgot, do they say like fun things about the elements?
We'll see. You got the fire element.
Oh, flames bring light to darkness and warmth to all. That's cool. Yeah.
Embodiment of that power. Very nice.
Cool. Oh, we get
nice little lesson on flames.
This stuff appears like slightly off screen, which I find awkward. I was like, oh, is it time to play again?
Time to go yet, or you got something else to say about flames?
We don't ever get a big post-dungeon thing typically here, but
just a little tidbit from
fibers. So yeah, well, you know, we gotta go back to the mine, talk to Malari now. He's got more. We need to get more elements, but for right now, we need to rank this dungeon.
Oh yeah.
So Corey, where did the Cave of Flames, the Cave of Flamos, stack up compared to your other dungeons?
So looking at my list. First things first, gotta compare it to Deepwood Shrine. That's the best benchmark, is other dungeons in the game, how do I feel compared to those? I think Deepwood Shrine is stronger. I think it has better puzzles. I think I like the combination of like the dank shrine with like some water elements mixed in there. I think the utilization of the gust jar is a lot more immediately gratifying and just works a little bit better. The Cane of Pachi is cool, but I just don't think it's quite as... I don't think it's incorporated into puzzles quite as good, so I would say I like Deepwood Shrine better than Cave of Flames. So starting at Deepwood Shrine, going down on my list, it's kind of convenient because right below that I have Inside the Great Deku Tree, another classic intro dungeon. And then right below that I have Dragon Roost Cavern and Dodongo's Cavern. Both two fire magma themed early dungeons that are in caves. So it's super fitting. And I was like, these would be great benchmarks to compare Cave of Flames to because it's super similar aesthetically. I think, and we mentioned it in our analysis in this video too, that it kind of has that like looping structure, kind of taking you on a joyride, very similar to Dodongo's Cavern. I think I like Cave of Flames more than Dodongo's Cavern just because Dodongo's Cavern feels a little bit more... The things that you're doing in the rooms aren't quite as fun. The most memorable part of that dungeon to me is the big puzzle of dropping the bombs in the eyes.
Yeah. Big time, yeah.
So right there I'm already at a spot where do I put this dungeon above or below Dragon Roost Cavern? I settled on below Dragon Roost Cavern just because that dungeon does a really good job of like tutorializing and introducing different puzzles to you and then evolving on them later in the dungeon. It's got the really cool going inside and outside sections, and it's got some of those really neat optional puzzles of like throwing the, you know, just some cool mechanics-based puzzles that Wind Waker can flaunt more so than this type of dungeon where it's just like, okay, now flip this cart and keep going, and now float over this gap of lava. So I ended up placing it right in between those other two fire-themed dungeons, right at number 30.
Okay, nice. That's a good spot for it. I pretty much... Yeah, I agree with your reasoning, putting it below Deepwood, like, almost to a T. On mine, like, I would have started there, and I would agree. I have Dodongo's Cavern much lower, but I would also, like, I felt like playing it, like, oh, it reminds me of this, but with, like, I don't know, the gameplay elements in there of, like, the more just fast-paced, more platformy or like action-based elements, gave me some of those feelings of some of those ones in Oracle of Seasons that I have really, really high up, and you know those are fairly simple in terms of the progression. So, like, but still, I think Deepwood Shrine, I think the puzzles are maybe better, I would say, like you said, and the navigation is a little bit better, and the big overarching barrel thing is pretty unique and fun. This, like, it has those mine carts, but it's, I mean, those are really fun, but the standout things are, like, I like the lava platform stuff and floating over the lava, and that stuff I find really fun, and jumping out of the holes with the cane is pretty fun. So, it goes below Deepwood, but I don't think it goes much more below Deepwood. I started kind of tracking up from Dodongo's Cavern, and I was looking at a lot of these. There's some along the way where I'm like, you know, I was going like, hold up, like, you know, this one's pretty good, this one's pretty cool, but in the whole chunk of them, I found myself, you mentioned like the things in Turtle Rock, like in A Link to the Past that kind of spit you out. I sort of had elements of that. Turtle Rock's kind of a little bit, it's a little bit trickier. It's kind of a strange dungeon, I think, overall. So, you know, while it's kind of a later dungeon in that game, if a later dungeon in a game is kind of lower on the level on my ranking, that's always kind of a little bit of a, because you know that's where they should. So that one's kind of, that A Link to the Past area is stuff that I really like conceptually, but from a gameplay perspective, it isn't always there for me. Though there are some really cool, unique stuff. Or this Minish Cap, this is where I think we're starting to see with this game, and then spoilers, I think Twilight Princess, you kind of see the complete like formation, or like almost the end point of the quote unquote Zelda formula.
Oh yeah.
Where we've got it almost down to a science now. So where the gameplay elements are going to be really fun, but they're almost kind of lacking some of the like trickier rough edges of the dungeons. You know what I mean? Where it's always going to be really fun, but it's like there's some higher highs, I think, in like those A Link to the Past dungeons that I have in this area, like Turtle Rock, Ice Palace, Thieves Town. But this one is just, it's like a very polished version of that, and I honestly give it a slight edge over them because I think this one is really fun. This is a really fun one, so I'm gonna go a couple above them actually, but I think I've decided that I'm gonna stop short at Tail Cave. I don't want to put it above Tail Cave. I like the dungeon too much.
Tail Cave is a good benchmark.
Yeah, that's another one that I don't know. That is actually, I think, a really tight package of a dungeon. So I think we're in this area. If you're an early dungeon and you're a really nice, tight, polished package, you do get up a little bit higher compared to some of my other. Yeah. I think the other ones I could compare this to are like Snake's Remains, Gnarled Root, Jabu Jabu, Eastern Palace, Bottle Grotto, Dorango. That it's like a slightly lower group there. That those are like, okay, these are all good, these are all solid, like, or whatever. But this one, I think it is a little bit heightened from those. So I'm gonna give it a higher spot. It's 10 below you. You have it 30, I have it at 40. But I think we almost got, we've talked about how our scales are a little off for certain dungeons, but I think we almost got there on kind of the same logic. I would say.
similar concepts.
I like when we line up like that a little bit.
It's funny though, because I was like listening to you compared to not quite Turtle Rock, but like Ice Palace and Thieves Town from A Link to the Past. Those are like, the separation between those dungeons on our lists is getting much more vast, because I have those guys pretty high.
You love those, yeah.
I do love those dungeons.
Those, I mean, I
get what you're saying though.
I do love them.
Those are,
I do love them, yeah.
Those are very similar, especially Ice Palace is very similarly like pretty linear progression, but it like takes you on a little ride. It like the dungeon takes you where the dungeon wants to take you, and then the stuff in between is kind of what's filling out the adventure.
So yeah, I think we got a pretty good list going. Like I said, there's the things that I've been like semi like sort of critical about, and I think you've mentioned it so far, and I've agreed that where it's like, oh, these things are it's like an early dungeon, stuff like that. It's not meant to be like mind-bendingly complicated, but I don't want to go too far ahead. We did this a little bit in Wind Waker too, where it's like, I think there's sort of a question of like, for me, at least the way I recall the game, like, does the game ramp up? Do the dungeons ramp up and get like, are we gonna see some of the best? Are they gonna exceed like the foundation that the game has laid? You know what I mean? So we'll see about that. I don't want to go too far ahead, but like I'm looking at my top, 10, and I have only like 5 games in it, and those are, I guess, if I'm thinking from a dungeon perspective, are, even though some of them I have much lower than like Wind Waker, I feel like it says a lot about the game for me personally that they've reached that height. So I want to see, we've got the foundation for Minish Cap,
Yeah, I'm both of mine I've placed so far have placed within the top 30, which I think is pretty respectable. So we're just gonna have to see if they can keep going up, because I also feel like I have a pretty solid top, like, I don't know, top like 18 or so that I feel like they're pretty rock solid, and Minish Cap will have to do something pretty special to break through that, I think.
Yeah, that looks pretty, these are all pretty, memorable dungeons you have up there, so we'll see what's gonna be. I'm curious as to what everyone's, you know, what this, I actually don't really know what the standout, I think I know what the standout Minish Cap dungeon is, but I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know what the favorite is, like the favorite to win. So we'll I don't know, we'll be answering that though in upcoming episodes. So once again, Corey, always great to have you along the ride. Absolutely. And to hear your opinions and to provide your perspective. And yeah, we're gonna be getting more elements. We'll see everybody in, what's the next dungeon called? It's the something
Temple, no, Fortress of Winds.
There's a fortress and a palace in the game, and I never remember.
Fortress is first. Fortress of Winds.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. We'll see everybody in the Fortress of Winds.